This is the Atlantis Revell 1/16 scale funny car. It's got a Vega body on it, Keith Black Hemi. This video is going to be more for some of the little tricks and techniques I used to get this build done. These are things pretty much I've been doing since I was about probably 11 or 12 years old back in the 70s. Back when this was a new kit. I probably built about 20 or 30 of these with all the various bodies. I really hope they come out with a Mustang Mach 1 pretty soon, maybe the Charger. Let's go over some of the techniques I used. Now the first thing I did was the chrome plating on this kit was absolutely atrocious. It was incredibly thick to the point where you couldn't actually see the bolt detail on the front wheels. There's terrible flash on it, so I stripped 90% of it with purple power. Leave it in the purple power for about 15 minutes or so and off it goes. I did keep the chrome for like the wheel caps and the steering arms, but everything else, wheels, blower, the intake hat, pretty much all that was stripped off and painted. As far as parts that I've used, one of the best purchases I've ever made were these little bolt details. These things are pretty amazing. If you do armor, ships, large scale cars, 1/20th scale Tamiya, or the 1/16th Vega funny cars, or anything like that, they're really valuable. I use those on the barrel valve adjustments. Right there and there. And there. And a large part of this, I can't really see, yeah, you can see in there. The blower to manifold bolts are just stretched sprue that are melted off on the ends. And of course the way you do that is you just stretch some sprue. Give it a little light. Don't burn it. Oop, I want to set fire to it. This is a little thin for this purpose. Just get a little knob on it. There's a little knob on the very end of it. Yeah, it's not going to focus very well, I'm sure. But trust me, there's a knob on there. Then you take your favorite drills. These are absolutely invaluable. Everybody has to have drills. Don't try to heat up a pin and jam it through the part that you're doing, because you're just going to end up messing it up. And you come out with a nice bolt detail like this. Or even on 1/25th, you just stretch it thinner. And the intake hat is all bolted on with stretch sprue. Of course, none of these lines or wires came anywhere near the kit, because the kit was absolutely atrocious. So of course you have your plug wires. Got to have headphone wires and computer cords and whatnot of different thicknesses. They have like battery cables in there. We got all kinds of stuff. That all cost me absolutely nothing. And the fuel lines and oil lines are all this elasticized cord. You get this at Joanne Fabrics, or probably Hobby Lobby has it. I actually got these off of clothes that we buy. A pair of sneakers has a little stretch cord between it. That's what that is. All the AN fittings on this are done with little beading pieces. We have a little barrel there. We have a little end here. And you can sand them off or file them off and get a hex head. What do I do with my magnet? And here we go. It's super glued onto the end. If you need a banjo bolt, Just get one of these tubes. Of course, this isn't going to cooperate now.
You want to see it?
Damn it. Of course, it won't sit when I want it to. There we go. For a banjo bolt, or a banjo fitting, you set it in sideways. And of course, this is metallic also. Oh, anyway, you set it in sideways and you glue it thusly. Bing! Off she goes. Now you have a banjo bolt for your oil lines and oil coolers. The biggest sin of all of these kits, and it really doesn't matter if it's a 1/25th or 1/16th, is I seem to remember when I was a kid building these parts are a lot more detailed. As you can see, there's absolutely no detail on this throttle. There's nothing. That little nub on there goes into the hat. It's supposed to sit thusly. But make your own. This is a little piece of stretch sprue, or you can use maybe evergreen or guitar wire if you have guitar, and make one of these little fittings out of stretch sprue. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. Now how we do these, because this would be for like a 1/25th scale something or other, so I don't have any nice handy fat one. Squeeze this off so it's nice and flat. Then you drill a hole. You put a piece of the stretch sprue bolt through it to hold it tight. If you want one on the other end, squeeze that down. Oh, shit. Of course, the modeler's curse. Cut it to length. I use these for tie rod ends on 1/25th. That's what I use exclusively on my gasser. You can bend them just a little bit, give them a little angle, drill your hole, put your stretch sprue bolt through it. That's how we get these. There's one there on the throttle. You got two over here in the barrel valve. You can return springs out of just any kind of wire, preferably silver. Silver is actually getting harder to come by nowadays. It's kind of strange. In the early 70s, they started experimenting with refrigerating fuels. I remember them coming out of the back of the truck with these steaming 50-gallon jug or 20-gallon cans of nitromethane and pouring them into the fuel tanks, and you see the evaporation of it as they're warming up. This is just cigarette paper. You can use this in all kinds of applications. Have it for the engine blankets in the tractor trailers. Use it for parachutes. What else do I have? Oh yeah, to do your parachute cord so it doesn't burn out. Another refrigerated blanket here. And a pretty clever thing I like doing with supercharged stuff is I can never leave things well enough alone. Where the hell did I put them? Supercharger drive belts on 1/25th are always absolutely horrendous looking affairs. Big, fat, and stupid. So you have for the drives are just these dress snaps. You got a nice crank pulley here. Got the blower pulley there. Easy peasy. That's pretty much it. You don't have to go dumping $60 worth of photo etch parts and custom 3D printed stuff to get the desired result. Again, that's the cigarette paper, the parachute, and the cord. Now, of course, you have to have your parts box. That's the rear axle of a Porsche 911.